Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of the Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. Well, this week a remarkable phenomenon has taken place in the United States: gas lines, gas shortages, and it's come about supposedly because a oil pipeline, a huge oil pipeline along the U.S. East Coast, Colonial pipeline, has supposedly been attacked, hacked, whatever you want to call it, by a something called a ransomware company. What is ransomware? Who the hell,
You ask?
exactly. I mean, what is that? But apparently everybody's now, with has become an expert on something that no one had ever heard of 30 minutes ago. It's apparently companies that go attacking the computer systems of other companies by introducing malware into them. And the malware apparently, disables the computer systems, and then this ransomware
For
companies,
a discounted price, we'll fix it.
they'll say, hey, give us some money and we'll give you the software to get rid of the malware. Sounds like a very cool racket. I mean, it's a more sophisticated version of the protection racket the gangsters have been running. In any case, that seems to be what's behind this, and apparently it's a well-known practice. So Colonial Pipeline is shut down, and presumably this company, DarkSide, which is this ransomware company, is demanding money. And Russia has been identified as an actor in all of this, particularly vigorously on the right. So unlike the sort of what was being taking place during the past 4 years of the Russiagate, this time the anti-Russian fervor is coming from the right, particularly from Sean Hannity, who sees the hand of Vladimir Putin behind all of this. Then there was a bizarre phenomenon of when Biden was asked about this, and he said, well, our intelligence is saying that Russia is not behind this, but Russia is responsible because apparently this this ransomware company is physically located on the territory of Russia. How anyone can possibly determine that any hacker is physically located somewhere is a mystery. And
hackers don't usually put their address, their
right,
PO box.
exactly, yeah, yes, this is my the Kremlin, care of Vladimir Putin. and, but the one of the clues that somehow Russia is behind this is apparently that the malware shuts down its operations in computer systems that whose operational language is Russian, Romanian, Ukrainian, Georgian, Kazakh, Uzbek, whatever. Why was shut down Ukrainian and Georgian? Because they're not exactly very friendly towards Russia. That is a mystery. So alongside this, Politico ran a breathless article the other day claiming that US intelligence is investigating a Russian spy unit, the GRU, for directed energy attacks on US personnel. So we're back to the old story. If you remember back in the, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, US diplomats were being attacked. This particular US diplomats in Havana were being attacked by Russians, and they were feeling sick and they were getting headaches. Yeah. And then it turned out that this was a particularly nocturnal insect that was making a very annoying sound very early in the morning, and that really was behind this.
Cricket Gate.
Yeah, that's a Cricket Gate. Yeah, but apparently we're back to these Russian directed energy attacks. As usual, no real evidence is presented, but this long Politico article says, quoting a former national security official, who says, it looks, smells, and feels like the GRU. When you are looking at the landscape, there are very few people who are willing, capable, and have the technology. It's pretty simple forensics. And then,
yeah, the Israelis could do it.
well, I would have thought a lot of people can do it.
A lot of Ukrainians can do it.
And a current official briefed on the probe said the GRU agents are, quote, the only ones we know have the capability to attack our people like that on our soil. But apparently it's not just on our soil, it's taking place throughout the world. So wherever GRU agents are to be found, US officials are apparently getting headaches and dizzy spells or whatever. You'd have thought, the pandemic might have a role in this. The vaccines that everyone's taking might have a role. No, it's all GRU. So what can we conclude about all this? Well, first of all, that the Biden people are not running with the vigor on the whole Russia that you might have expected. Even a few months ago, Blinken would be crying Russia. It's much more restrained. They're obviously very determined to get this summit. They're absolutely fixated on this summit with Putin. They don't know what the hell they're going to talk about. There's no agenda, whatever, but they keep talking about, oh yeah, this summit's going to take place. I'm really looking forward to talking to Putin or whatever. And the Russians are just sort of, all right, well.
Yeah, because Blinken he has this new suit and he just can't wear it. It's got some nice shoes to match with it. Right. And, he's already established the menu. I think there's going to be lobster there and prawns. I mean, come on, this is going to be a party. What are we going to talk about? Not sure yet, but we got the menu down.
But we definitely want it, yeah. So, I think, yes, there's obviously the opportunism. Hey, Biden will get to look like a statesman. Blinken will look like a statesman. Plus, they will get to sound off on all Russia's sins. And there's a kind of geostrategic calculation behind this, which we've talked about. Hey, let's get Russia on our side against China. They're bound. They're just chomping at the bit to join us.
Who thought of that? Oh my God.
Exactly. So there is that. But it's clear that there is another powerful faction within the US government that is going to be peddling these Russia stories, and they're going to be even more ferocious if the summit does take place. We can expect more and more of these Politico-style articles about all the evil doings of Vladimir Putin, very much like, during the Trump years, this unnamed national security officials will be telling us about the horrors perpetrated by the GRU.
Yeah, I can
what do you think?
I can just see it now. You know how when Biden approaches the press, he has those really slanty eyes. I think he's going to do that to Putin. Give him the slanty eyes.
Yes,
Putin's going to shake in the room here. No, I mean, there's so many things here that just these are such mindless stories. Number one, irrespective of the hack, let's put that to the side for a second. Why is so much of American infrastructure vulnerable? I mean, this was 2021. We were the cutting edge country in technology.
Right.
What?
Well, that's a very good.
Why are these people? What is wrong?
Right.
You so vulnerable?
Yes.
I mean, for all we know, it's the same Macedonian kids getting in business again. Okay. I mean, you're right. I mean, in the U.S., it shows, it embarrasses itself by, if it can't give proper attribution, they just have a default position, Russia. Then why shouldn't Russia start doing it if it's going to be blamed on them anyway? Okay. I mean, just the logic of all of these things here. Also, there's, and one of the things I find very pathetic is that anything that goes wrong is Russia's fault, which could be Ukraine's fault as well. In fact, okay. I mean, it's very interesting how Western media and policymakers portray Ukraine as this weak, effeminate typology. Okay, I mean, criminality in Ukraine is rampant. Okay, it's a criminal-like state.
It's a very convenient go-to thing for the media that, when clearly all the evidence points to Ukraine, then you say, oh, that's because Russia has completely infiltrated Ukraine. So even though, this is where the crime took place, but Russia had to have been involved because, Russians are kind of, they run Ukraine. So, it's a go-to excuse.
Yeah, they're running Ukraine, so Ukraine can go to war with Russia. Okay, we'll untie that one someday. Okay, I mean the sad fact of the matter is that Ukraine has always given the benefit of the doubt when it shouldn't do that. Okay, I mean we are in 2021. I very rarely do you think in terms of nation states doing this. I mean, whoever did this to the Colonial pipeline, they want money,
Right.
okay? They want cash. They want Bitcoin.
Right.
Okay, they want gold.
Right.
Okay, it's not how states. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, I'm looking out the window. This country isn't broke. Okay, so I mean, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, not at all.
And considering the
Yeah, no, I think it's what you said is a very good point, because the kind of money we're talking about, I mean, Russia's not that hard up. I mean, what do they go? 1 million, 2 million? I mean, Russia really
yeah,
doesn't.
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's a shakedown. Okay, what you do is I mean, presumably I don't do it. I don't know how. I would never do it. But I mean, you just probe. You keep probing. Oh, we found a weak one here. Okay, send in the malware. Tell them, send $2 million to this number in the Caymans or whatever. I don't know how you do it. There's a lot of people that do know how to move money around, and then that's just it. Then you send in the patch, and it's fixed. And you keep looking for more places to probe. Right. Okay, why that has to be attributed to one country all the time is a mystery to me. As a matter of fact, what you do is, if you do believe that, you're directing your resources against the wrong place and not looking in the right places. Right. Because the Macedonian teenagers can do it and say, don't worry, they're not going to look for us.
Right. Well, the interesting thing, I agree. But of course, the interesting thing is that, it's very hard to know how true any of these stories are, because it may well be that who's behind these attacks are security firms who are also working on the kind of shakedown. They want to be hired. I mean, it's a big, booming, lucrative industry, cybersecurity. So, hey, you're in a lot of trouble. You need a cybersecurity to deal with your infrastructure vulnerabilities. It's very hard to know. I mean, whenever we're dealing with these hacks, it's something, we don't know anything about that. It's all in this realm of mystery that everyone just simply mindlessly regurgitates, just like with Russiagate. Yes, GRU hacked the DNC server, extracted all this information. Nothing, no evidence for this whatsoever, but people mindlessly just regurgitate this. So same with this. It may well be that there are these gangsters who go around shaking down companies, maybe cybersecurity firms, or it may be, as you said, these are just lousy companies, who have just lousy infrastructure, and pretty much anybody can just simply hack into them. You really don't need anyone other than just really is a teenager, in his mom's bedroom. I mean, can hack into them. So it could be any of these things.
Well, if we go back to the hack of the DNC, which I don't believe it was a download, I don't believe it was a hack. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if it were a foreign government, let's say, for example, Russia, China, Iran, if you have the password to John Podesta's email, why would you give that up? Why would you give it to WikiLeaks? What you would do is sit there and wait, when he goes to bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then, go in, hey, what did John do today? Okay. Right. You would never make it known that you could do that. Okay. You would never download it and give it to WikiLeaks. I mean, that's not how foreign intelligence agencies work. What you do is you milk it for everything it's worth for as long as you can. Right. You don't expose it. It just doesn't work that way.
That's exactly right. Because if the WikiLeaks, if the Russians were behind that hack, they would just simply hold on to them. Great, hey, we might this might be useful. And there was absolutely no reason to believe that any of that stuff would have any significant effect on the election. what the hell? I mean, John Podesta, having all these discussions with media. Most of it was really about the media, how the media were just fawning on the Democrats, which is something we already knew. So there was nothing in there that the Russians, if we release this to WikiLeaks, this will really damage Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, and the dirty tricks against Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
I mean, again, given the nature of that material, just being on a high perch, looking at it, you might get lucky and find something, or maybe John will say, "Hey, here's my new my new email, and here's the password." Oh, great. That's the moment you wait for. You wait for it to be given to you. You don't do that, and so again, a nation state, powerful nation states that would indulge in this behavior vis-a-vis the Colonial pipeline, there's the obvious thing is that if you do it, they can be done to you. Right. Okay, that's why if we go back to the one of the lessons of the Second World War is everybody said poison gas. Right. It didn't work for anybody, did it? Okay. Because if you use it, the other side's going to use it too, and you can't control it. It's one of the worst weapons you can imagine. Okay, that's why it's not used very much. Okay,
right. No, that's exactly right. That's always been the case with generally when countries give up a particularly cruel weapon. It's not because they suddenly became very humane and they don't want to do it. They get worried that it's going to be used against them, but they don't really give them up because they use it against those that they know can't return it. So, like for instance, starvation. You don't want to use that against someone who's going to starve you, but you will use it against those who will not be able to starve you. So it's like, yes, brutal sanctions against Iraq, because what the hell is Iraq's not going to be able to do that to us. But you don't want to do that to say Russia, who can do exactly the same thing to us. So that's absolutely right. That's the classic case.
Looking forward over the next few weeks, I think the most important to take away from this is what you said exactly. Is it'll be kind of humorous in an odd way watching the Biden administration bend itself into a pretzel because they want something. Okay, they want a summit. Okay, and they're going to do a lot to try to salvage it. Okay, but of course the sickness known as Russiagate is it's just so prevalent right now and so deep under the skin. People are going to have a very hard time controlling themselves. Right. If you really want to look at a fanatic talking about this, not making any sense at all, watch Sean Hannity. I mean, he just loses his mind over this. He doesn't make any sense. He just doesn't make any sense. I don't know if he's doing it ad lib or he's reading it because he has lost the plot.
Well, he's lost the plot, but that's a very interesting thing, because Sean Hannity is still in this mindset that the way to get at the Democrats is to suggest that they are soft on Putin, they are soft on Iran, they are soft on China, they are soft on North Korea, they're soft on the Palestinians. So he thinks this is the winning ticket. But of course, you'd have thought, the Trump victory should have taught him something, that people do not want war. They don't want to get themselves into a conflict with Putin, but he still thinks that this is a winning message. Oh, Biden is soft on Putin. We're going to ride on this one.
Yeah, but all the issues just mentioned, it's just essentially just bipartisan. I mean, exactly. During the entire Russiagate hoax, there were plenty of Republicans that actually knew things. They kept it to themselves, didn't go to the media. I mean, they played along with it just as much as, not just as much, but their silence was an admission of agreement. Okay. Right. I mean, Lindsey Graham is the best example. Okay.
No, so, that's exactly right, and that's the thing. The hatred for Russia was bipartisan, so the Democrats ran with it, but the Republicans were very happy, even though it was damaging the titular leader of their own party. They couldn't put aside the hysterical hatred of Russia that they imbibed with their mother's milk. I mean, it's like, Russia, terrible, they stole this election. And then you say, hey, if they stole this election, that means you've got a job by under false pretexts. So how about resigning? But I'm thinking in terms of, say, Nikki Haley or Mike Pompeo. Russia interfered in the 2016 election. They stole the election. Okay, so how about resigning? I mean, you have no business holding a job if you got it through Putin.
And it also it's childish to think, the Russians would do this because Biden is president, and they wouldn't do it because Trump was president. That's not how Russian foreign policy works. Okay, again, because we're dealing with low octane thinkers, policymakers like Blinken, and all of these media characters. They have to simplify it and they have to personalize it. Foreign policy, from Russia's perspective, is not personal, it's geopolitical, and it's based on interest. They don't give a hoot one way or another who's in the White House, really. No. Why should they?
They never look upon it in that way whatsoever. It just makes no sense for them. This was always the violation of common sense, the whole Russian interference in 2016 election. Why it violated common sense is that the Russians, like everyone else, expected Hillary Clinton to win. So why would they want to interfere and thwart her, given that she was going to win and were therefore likely to take punitive measures against Russia out of revenge once she became president? Russia wouldn't do anything so crazy. Why antagonize the person you think is going to be the next president?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a total misread here, and what it does is that trying to undo this Gordian knot, which you, by definition, you cut it. Okay, everyone is getting their brains scrambled over this here, and over my original point. You have bad infrastructure. Why don't you stop blaming other people? Can you take some personal responsibility? Okay, you people, you've squeezed every single drop out of the middle and working class people. Okay, you buy your huge yachts. Okay, I mean, that's the big thing, George. That's the big thing right now. Who's going to build the biggest yacht? And Jeff Bezos is in the lead right now. Okay, this is where they put all their money. Infrastructure? What's infrastructure? What do you expect?
No, it's exactly right. But it is interesting. There is clearly a divide. I mean, it's obviously, there's been for some time, there's clearly a strong divide within the US government. So in a way, the Biden people are kind of in the position that Trump was in, and they said, hey, I think it makes sense for us to improve relations with Russia in order to wage war against China. But within the deep state, there is obviously just some people with us who are simply foaming at the mouth about Russia. Well, let's leave China, for later. Let's deal with Russia right now. And so, that's why this Politico article, which came coming out of nowhere, we're back to the energy directed attacks by Russia. Again, why Russia would want to cause headaches and nausea for U.S. diplomats is a mystery. What they hope to achieve by this, who knows? But you can see there's going to be more and more of this, and some new version of the Russian bounties is going to be coming up in the media in the next few days. So it's amazing.
It's amazing to me that you and I can more or less give I think, an intelligent spin and interpretation on all things. But this Cricketgate thing, I'm sorry, I just don't know enough about crickets, all right? And why it would be used to drive some people crazy. I don't know, okay? I don't know. Maybe the cricket sound in American-style air conditioning don't work. I don't know, okay? But why a foreign government would do that is too weird for me even trying to explain.
Right, yeah, exactly. It makes absolutely no sense. It might have some use, I don't know, some use when you're actually fighting a war, and you've got enemy soldiers, and then you somehow direct energy rays against enemy soldiers. I don't know, seems strange to me. But again, maybe at least it has some military utility. But why would it be your advantage that some diplomat in Vienna is getting a headache? I mean, what do you hope to get out of this? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Don't worry, George. We got crickets in our arsenal. Gung ho.
Right. So it is
we have the cricket edge.
Yes, no, yeah, that's right. But I mean, it's like it is though interesting. I mean, what you said about Hannity, who has kind of seized on this issue, thinking this is really neat, and it just shows how little people on the right and the Republicans learned from the Trump years. I mean, you'd have thought, hey, Trump got onto a winning message in 2016. He kind of ran as a kind of foreign policy dove, an unusual position for a Republican, and he was a winner. And you'd have thought, drop this hawkishness, drop the whole thing. We got to punch Putin in the nose. It's not a winning issue. Yet no, they're back to all of this. Gingrich, Hannity, the whole lot of them. And who's that other guy? The one who was the former governor of Texas. Again, completely buffoonish figure. The Rick Perry.
Oh, Perry.
Yeah, Rick Perry. They all fail. They all sought the nomination. They all fail, and they're back again. We got to thump Putin really hard.
No, but I mean, it was the attack on our infrastructure. It's Russia, Iran, in cahoots with China against Israel. I mean, I couldn't even follow what he was saying.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Everything is connected.
That's right. Yes. I don't know if you ever saw. I think it was The Naked Gun. I don't know if that the original Naked Gun, where you have that meeting. There's Gorbachev, Khomeini, Gaddafi, Yasser Arafat, all the villains of the world, they're sitting there plotting all sorts of evil doings. So, but that's kind of pretty much sort of the Hannity Gingrich mindset.
Well, again, to repeat, your country's falling apart right in front of your eyes. You're letting an ideology go rampant, destroying the way people think, destroying any kind of sense of merit. And don't be surprised your infrastructure doesn't work, and don't blame others, okay? Fix your own problems.
That's right.
That's what it's all about. Fix your problems. Stop blaming everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to then ask, how can it be that you have a problem with one pipeline and suddenly you have gas shortage?
Half the country shuts down.
Wow. I mean, that's all it takes, one problem with the pipeline. Then you have to think, you're supposed to be the world's #1 economy, and it's that easy to cause massive shortages just like that. One pipeline, some kids, hey, cough up some money and we'll give you the antidote to our malware, which is the official story. And you bring the entire East Coast to its knees. Something deeply wrong here.
Yeah. It's like, this is attuned to the brownouts that California experiences every summer. California, 7th largest economy in the world, but they can't keep the lights on? Really?
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Can't keep the lights on. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
all right, Peter.
Same game will continue.
That's it. All right. So we will, of course, maintain our laser-like focus on the doings of the Russophobes, both among the Democrats and among the Republicans. Remember, we are now on Locals. Please look us up there. Thegaggle.locals.com. Locals.com. We're also on Rumble. Look us up on Rumble. And if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.